Direct News TV. July 8, 2023. Russia-Ukraine shelling kills 8 in Lyman, says ministry. 8 people have been killed and 13 injured in Lyman after Russia struck the eastern town with multiple rocket launchers, Ukraine's interior ministry has said. The United Nations has slammed the horrific civilian toll as Russia's war in Ukraine reaches 500 days. A long history of Russian influence has shaped the identity of Ukrainian cities near the border. Now, after more than a year of Russian bombardment, the embattled cities are trying to reconcile their past with their present. Poland moves troops to eastern border amid Wagner fears. Poland has begun moving over 1,000 troops to the east of the country, the defense minister said, amid rising concern in the NATO member that the presence of Wagner fighters in Belarus could lead to increased tension on its border. Over 1,000 soldiers and almost 200 units of equipment from the 12th and 17th Mechanized Brigades are starting to move to the east of the country, Mariusz Blazak wrote on Twitter. This is a demonstration of our readiness to respond to attempts at destabilization near the border of our country. A senior Wagner commander earlier said that mercenaries from the group were preparing to move to Belarus. Kremlin says Turkey violated agreements by releasing Ukrainian fighters. Turkey has violated agreements by releasing detained commanders of a unit that for weeks defended a steel works in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said. Peskov, quoted by RIA news agency, said under the terms of a prisoner exchange the Azovstal fighters were to remain in Turkey until the end of the war. Russia had not been informed of their release, he said. Latvia swears an ardent Ukraine supporter as new president. Latvia's long-serving foreign minister, known for his tough line on neighboring Russia and strong support for Ukraine, has been sworn in as the Baltic nation's president for a 4-year term. Edgars Rinkēvičs, who had served as Latvia's top diplomat since 2011, took the oath of office in ceremonies at an extraordinary session of the parliament, or Seima, in the capital, Riga. He succeeds Egils Levits, who didn't seek re-election. Latvia's presidency is largely a ceremonial post and the head of state acts mainly as an opinion leader and uniting figure in the country, where almost 1/3 of residents speak Russian. The president represents the country abroad, acts as the supreme commander of the armed forces, signs bills into law, nominates the prime minister and has the right to dissolve parliament, among other things. Azovstal commanders released to Turkey returned to Ukraine. 5 commanders of Ukraine's former garrison in Mariupol, forced to live in Turkey under the terms of a prisoner exchange last year, have returned to Ukraine with President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was on a visit to Istanbul. "We are returning home from Turkey and bringing our heroes home," Zelensky said on the Telegram messaging app after talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Ukrainian soldiers Denis Prokopenko, Svyatoslav Palomar, Serhiy Volinsky, Ola Kamenko, Denis Shliha. They will finally be with their relatives. Zelensky posted a 1-minute video showing himself and other officials shaking hands and hugging the smiling commanders before they boarded a Czech aeroplane together. He gave no explanation for why the commanders were being allowed to return home now. There was no immediate comment from Russia and Turkey. Zelensky thanks leader of Eastern Orthodox Christians for spiritual support. President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked Bartholomew I, the leader of the Eastern Orthodox Christians, for the spiritual support of Ukraine and Ukrainians, for prayers for peace for our entire land, for all our people. The Ukrainian leader said he joined memorial prayer for the victims of the war in Ukraine at the St. George Cathedral during a visit to Istanbul. The Archbishop of Constantinople, Istanbul's former name, is known for his open criticism of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Canada opposes U.S. decision to send cluster bombs to Ukraine. Canada has joined a chorus of U.S. allies opposing Washington's decision to provide Ukraine with cluster munitions for its counteroffensive against occupying Russian forces, reiterating a commitment to the Oslo Agreement that bans the controversial weapon. "We do not support the use of cluster munitions and are committed to putting an end to the effects cluster munitions have on civilians, particularly children," the Canadian government said in a statement. The Liberal government of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is one of Ukraine's most vocal supporters, and has committed billions of dollars in financial, military, humanitarian and other assistance since last year. Germany, Spain and the UK have also voiced their opposition to the transfer of the widely banned bombs. Ukrainians mourn mother and daughter killed in Russian attack on Lviv. Ukrainians in the western city of Lviv have attended the funeral ceremony for a mother and daughter killed in a Russian missile attack on a residential apartment block. Myroslava Sadova and Anastasia Senev were among 10 people killed on Thursday, according to Ukraine's State Emergency Service. The attack was one of the largest in the city, which has remained relatively peaceful due to its location about 70 kilometers, roughly 43 miles, away from the NATO and EU border. Wagner fighters preparing to move to Belarus, commander says. Mercenary fighters of Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner group are preparing to move to Belarus under the terms of a deal that defused their mutiny against Russia's military leadership, a senior commander of the group has said. Anton Yelizarov, whose nom de guerre is Lotus, was quoted by a channel on the Telegram messaging app as saying the fighters were now taking vacation until early August, on Prigozhin's orders, before moving to Belarus. We have to prepare bases, training grounds, coordinate with local governments and administrations, organize interaction with the law enforcement agencies of Belarus and establish logistics, he was quoted by the Yevgeny Prigozhin on Telegram channel as saying. Since the June 23, 24 mutiny, which saw Wagner fighters briefly seize a southern Russian city in March towards Moscow, the exact whereabouts of Prigozhin and his mercenaries have been unclear. The troops have been instrumental in the Kremlin's war, in particular on the frontline sector close to Bakhmut in East Ukraine. Death toll in Lyman rises to 8, Interior Ministry. 8 people have been killed and 13 injured in Lyman, eastern Ukraine, after the town came under Russian rocket fire, Ukraine's Interior Ministry has said. So far we know about 8 dead. The number of injured has increased to 13 people, the ministry said on social media. Pavlo Kirilenko, governor of the Donetsk region where Lyman is located, said, at around 10 a.m., 7 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, the Russians struck the town with multiple rocket launchers. Lyman, a major rail hub, was initially captured by Russian forces but then retaken by Ukraine's army in October. Ukraine vows not to use cluster bombs on Russian territory. Ukraine's Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov has welcomed the U.S. decision to send cluster bombs to Kiev, saying it would help to liberate the Ukrainian territory but promised that the munitions would be not used in Russia. Our position is simple, we need to liberate our temporarily occupied territories and save the lives of our people, Reznikov wrote on Twitter. Ukraine will use these munitions only for the deoccupation of our internationally recognized territories. These munitions will not be used on the officially recognized territory of Russia. He added that Ukraine would keep a strict record of their use and exchange information with its partners. Russia Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said Ukraine's promises to use the controversial ammunition responsibly are not worth anything. Russia says U.S. cluster bombs offer shows weakness. Washington's decision to supply Ukraine with cluster munitions is an act of desperation that will have no effect on Moscow's campaign in Ukraine, Russia's foreign ministry has said. It is an act of desperation and shows weakness against the backdrop of the failure of the much-touted Ukrainian counteroffensive, ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said in a statement. The latest miracle weapon, which Washington and Kiev are betting on, without thinking about the grave consequences, will have no effect on the special military operation, she said, using Russia's official term for its campaign in Ukraine. Russia itself uses cluster bombs in Ukraine but they are banned in many parts of the world. UK part of convention that discourages cluster bomb use, PM. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said the United Kingdom is part of a convention that prohibits the production or use of cluster munitions and discourages their use, after Washington announced plans to send the controversial weapons to Ukraine. We will continue to do our part to support Ukraine against Russia's illegal and unprovoked invasion. But we've done that by providing heavy battle tanks and most recently long-range weapons, and hopefully, all countries can continue to support Ukraine, he added. In total, 123 countries have signed the 2008 Oslo Convention banning the production, storage, sale and use of cluster munitions, due to the danger unexploded bomblets pose even after a conflict has ended. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.